Ready to roll away on the formation lap here at Spa. 31 cars on the grid, and they will be led by René Rast on the left-hand side of the picture. White, green and gold of the Veltins sponsorship on his car. And red, white and black, Jeroen Bleekemolen in the Jetstream car. Bleekemolen now confirmed as the 2008 champion. Last year, of course, he was the runner-up in the series. Didn't compete at all in the first 3 races. Stood down at... and then when he did start racing, was a guest driver, in fact. He had planned to stand down for his father, Michael, to have his 30th anniversary race at Monaco, but in fact, his dad said, no, come on, you've got a much better chance of winning this race, which he did go out and do, and then signed up for the full championship, despite the fact that he was already looking at a race programme of 60 races over 30 weekends in 2007, and came on so strong that he ended up as the championship runner-up. That pretty much decided where he was hoping to spend his season, or predominantly spend his season, in 2008. This is his second major victory for Porsche this year. Won the LMP2 category at Le Mans this year in a Porsche RS Spider, and in fact is looking, or has looked, very strong as well in the Le Mans series. His occasional co-driver has won the LMP2 category in the drivers' team, and the Van Merkstein Porsche, which he drives with Jos Verstappen, has been very much the cream of the LMP2 field. And Peter Van Merkstein, who owns that car, incidentally, saying that he won't be competing in the LMS next year. He's very keen on going into world rallying, and I have to say, if I was Michael Bleekemolen, with him and his 2 boys, and or possibly the 2 boys and Jos Verstappen, that would be a near unbeatable team in the LMP2 category for the 2009 Le Mans series. There is the shirt. On the front it says "Too fast for you." The Jeroen Bleekemolen Porsche Supercup 2008 champion. Well, the orange colours, of course, reflecting his nationality, Dutchman, and I wonder if they've all got those orange Elvis wigs that you see occasionally in crowds being sported by Dutch fans. Sweeping around this pretty well populated Spa-Francorchamps circuit. Spa draws fans not just from Belgium, but from, it's only about an hour and a bit's drive from the Nürburgring, so very close in this Eifel Mountains region to the Nürburgring, to that side of Germany as well. But it draws fans from all over the Low Countries, from Germany, from France, from the UK, from Italy, from far and far afield. Whenever you come to Spa and walk around in the spectator areas, the cacophony of languages, or the polyphony of languages, is just quite remarkable. You hear languages from all across Europe, far and wide, and it is a real mecca for motor racing fans, and very much in the spirit of the Nordschleife of the Nürburgring particularly. Fans come and hunker down for the weekend, whatever the weather, and generally speaking, at a Grand Prix circuit, you see the grandstands are pretty much a third full, or a little bit less for the Super Cup and the other support races for Formula 1. But here, really very few people leave unless they're in the Paddock Club. Jan Seyfart's helmet cam showing you just what it looks like inside the car on the warm-up lap. Trying to get some heat into these tyres. Track temperature's very low indeed, barely out of double digits, and the man up on the cherry picker here, up in the wind. Not too much wind today, but as you can see, a little bit of drizzle. So this is going to be very slippery then, not wet, not properly wet. And so getting a heat into these slick tyres, absolutely essential. And the best way is to be on the throttle and then hard on the brakes, hard on the brakes, hard on the brakes. Brakes use a huge amount of energy, or dissipate a huge amount of energy through heat. That heats up the wheel rims, heats up the air inside the tyres, which in turn helps heat the tread. As long as you're not locking the tyres then at these low speeds, which is a possibility, then you should be okay. So coming on to this starting grid then, last year's race here in Belgium won by Patrick Heisman. Pole position went to Jeroen Bleekemolen. No race in 2006, 2005. Dirk Werner dominated from pole position. That might be a good omen for René Rast as we get ready to start round 11 of the championship. So last half dozen cars coming to the back of the grid. On the very back will be Michael Bleekemolen in 30th place, and Gersa Steelstra of the Netherlands as well, 31st place in the Porsche Center Eindhoven entry. So red lights are on, 5 come on, and when they go off, away we go, round 11 of the championship. Let's see who makes a good start. Very good getaway from Norbert Siedler from row 4 of the grid. Jeroen Bleekemolen tucks in behind René Rast, battle for third. David Salens on the outside of Jaap van Lagen. 2 Dutchmen, and Van Lagen with a slight advantage, he hasn't yet. Van Lagen has not yet secured third place. Salens is coming down the outside, the Belgian driver rather, outside the Dutchman. So Salens up to third. Van Lagen in 4th, Sean Edwards in 5th. That's his second best qualifying of the season. He was 4th on the grid at Monaco. And of course, race winner at Silverstone. He's in the lead pack, and he's about to gobble up Van Lagen, and they're all about to gobble up René Rast. And that exit to Eau Rouge is absolutely critical, because for the 900-metre very steep hill afterwards, you are flat on the gas. Oh, huge lock up on the outside from Salens. He's going off up the escape road, and he didn't even make it onto Schumacher's territory. Bleekemolen did, and well, they're going to have to give some places away. That's René Rast. He's in the barriers, spat off at the curbs at Les Combes. Didn't look like there was contact with anybody else. Bleekemolen didn't make it round, nor in second place did David Salens. I think the only one who actually used vaguely the racing line was Jaap van Lagen in 3rd. Sean Edwards is in 4th place. 5th place is Norbert Siedler, I think, from 8th on the grid. Then a little gap back. So, dramatic arrival at Les Combes for the first time. You can see the odd windscreen wiper on in the pack, and I think the drizzle is a little heavier than it was, and that's one of the Porsche Junior cars off. That's Martin Raginger. And who was inside him? I think possibly Andrea Boldrini, one of the guest drivers, started 16th. So the Italians had a good start. Looking back, this is David Salens chasing us as we ride in the lead car. Jeroen Bleekemolen with a rear-facing camera. 3rd place is Jaap van Lagen, 4th Sean Edwards. 5th position, pretty sure that's Norbert Siedler in the second of the Veltins cars. Either that or it's René Rast. Didn't see which one of them went off, and we haven't seen a replay yet. Might not for another lap or so, because it's likely to be pretty busy. Looking at the start, good getaway from Siedler right in front of him. Very slow Danny Watts off the grid, and wheel to wheel at the very front, 2 wide into the hairpin at La Source. And again, that yellow and blue car just squeezing Jaap van Lagen for 3rd, top of the hill. This is a replay. It's not. Now we're back live at the bus stop. Very unlikely view of the bus stop there. Haven't seen that one before. Now Pedro Petir's showing his nose on the right hand of the screen ahead of Danny Watts. And that's Jan Seyfart's yellow and red machine. And to Jaap van Lagen around the outside of David Salens for 2nd. Jeroen Bleekemolen escaping, and Van Lagen doesn't want to let his compatriot get away. And again, variety of exits from La Source. Now, camera makes this look flat. This is very much not flat. It's a huge downhill, uphill. That's a much better view there from the helicam. Like that a lot. That's a great view of just how steep that compression is down into Eau Rouge, crushing you into the seat and up the other side. 3 wide behind, Seyfart in the middle, and it looks like Danny Watts on the inside. Bleekemolen leads from Van Lagen, yellow and blue, that's Salens. Then Sean Edwards in 4th, Norbert Siedler in 5th, Danny Watts in 6th place now, leading the next little group. There's Watts, the silver. Is it? No, it's, yes it is, and Damien Faulkner on the back of it. So Danny Watts, the first of those silver and blue cars. So Danny Watts, Pedro Petir's, orange and yellow, little bobble there from Jan Seyfart, and he's got Damien Faulkner trying to come through from behind. So Patrick Heisman in 7th place, is it? Okay, I have to say, it didn't look like it, but I'll take their word for that. Okay, still looks like the Veltins car of Norbert Siedler there. And so it is. Now Van Lagen right with Bleekemolen, still pouring on the power down the hill. Through Pouon, the double left-hander, then through Piff Puff here, or Fania as it's more properly known. Piff Puff flip-flop. Not as in the shoe, but as in the way the corner goes left to right, right to left. And then down through Stavelot. This is the lowest part of the circuit. This is part of the old classic road racing circuit at Spa-Francorchamps, 16 kilometers long, and one of the most awesome racetracks on the planet. Imagine being a fan in the 1960s and being able to watch 160-mile-an-hour Formula One cars and sports cars in the 60s and 70s around the Nordschleife and the great road circuit at Spa. Challenge for the lead. What a run Jaap van Lagen had up the hill from Stavelot through Blanchimont up into the bus stop. He takes the lead, and that's a real block pass. You throw the car at the first apex. If you get through, you can pretty much hold it unless there's contact. Jaap van Lagen has the lead. Jeroen Bleekemolen in second. Sean Edwards now up to third place, that turquoise and white Konrad car. So Sean Edwards looking around the outside. Edwards has got a car he likes here. Fourth place is David Salens, and I'm starting to wonder whether everybody was on slicks or some have started on intermediates. Pedro Petiz skates out wide, and if you've started on an intermediate tyre, it'll have the same soft compound as a slick, but it'll have a few grooves, possibly quite a few grooves cut into it, in the sort of pattern of a wet weather tyre or a normal style road tyre. But it will give you grip and help to clear a little bit of water away. The only problem is it'll go off a little quicker than the slick. So Jaap van Lagen leads, battle for second, still Bleekemolen from Sean Edwards, David Salens next up. Little battle further back, there's the second of the Konrad cars, that's Jiri Yannick. And Yannick holding up this battle, in fact climbing up to the top of this battle. Yannick is on a charge. I'm guessing perhaps intermediates for both Konrad cars. Looking back from Bleekemolen, that was Van Lagen. This is Blanchimont. Flat out, foot to the boards, and Bleekemolen really not giving any room at all there, but still around the outside. Jaap van Lagen seems to have made a good choice on tyres, if that's what the difference is. We're seeing a few cars that didn't qualify well suddenly being able to outpace cars that were in front. Now in mixed weather conditions, that's not necessarily unlikely. However, again, Sean Edwards in the Konrad car up to third place. Started fifth, but he's progressed up to third place with the fastest lap of the race. He may be on a different tyre to some of these others. There is Sean Edwards in the white and turquoise Konrad machine, third place, challenging the new champion as Jaap van Lagen leads, Sebastian Bleekemolen in second. David Salens has recovered from losing ground early on. He got up into the lead in the first lap scramble and then dropped back. But he looks like he's now right on the tail of Sean Edwards as they climb the hill. Fully committed here, even in slippery conditions, foot to the board, no flinching, because you will get, if not spat out of the track, at least spat out of the train and drop right down the order. Big scramble through there. The Owen SES car, Mark Hines, just ahead of Pedro Petiz. It's not that adverse camber here, that's a bit of a sexy TV angle. Down the inside, David Salens. Sean Edwards has got to defend, just gets his nose inside. Salens using the curbs to avoid contact because he knows that if he had so much as touched Sean Edwards' car there, Edwards would have been spun off, and that would have likely have been a penalty for Salens. Bleekemolen leads. I beg your pardon, Bleekemolen doesn't lead. Bleekemolen leads this little queue. Oh, superb stuff. Now the cars here running a little higher than they would anywhere else. 2 or 3 millimeters is all, but that's about an inch or so, centimeters rather, and that's an inch or so higher than they would normally ride, and that's to allow for that deep compression down in Eau Rouge. On board with David Salens, all Belgium's hopes on him for a win here, and probably going to be their only win of the weekend. All Pedro Petiz. He's having a really good charge there. Chris Mamarau, third in the championship, and the Cadach Racing man is out of his car. Looks like that was just a blow-up there, not quite sure what happened. 8 to go, Salens in third place. It's starting to rain a little now. Sean Edwards with the wiper on in third place, dropping back a little. Now we're going to see who has made tyre gambles or who hasn't. I have to say, don't have any information from the grid as to what tyres were on what cars. I would have been surprised if anybody started on full wets, unless it was actually wet on the track. You would kill them in 2 or 3 laps of Spa, waiting for rain to arrive, no matter how close it was scheduled. So full wets, I would think, would be very unlikely. It may just be the difference between the cars is how the drivers have been dealing with the wet weather. Danny Watts there under pressure. Let's have a look at what we're seeing here. Lance David Arnold on the inside of Chris Mamarau. Okay, so it was a tangle in the barriers. This is pit wall, the old pits. Dear oh dear. Mamarau with right front puncture rather, and damaged radiators, just pulled it off on the outside of the circuit. Now, will there be yellow flags down into Eau Rouge? There might well be. Danny Watts under pressure, and through has gone Seidler. He has gone through. So good effort from him. Robert Seidler squeezes down the inside. Oh, and Danny Watts trying to fight back. Can't quite squeeze in there. Right behind Pedro Patiz in that number 27 car. I beg your pardon, Patrick Heisman. That's why I'm getting myself confused between Heisman and Patiz. Stupid boy, Martin. Patiz has got red, white and blue, and Heisman has got blue, white and blue. So that's where the confusion comes in. It is Patrick Fantastic, the four-time Supercup champion, coming down the hill on the inside, wheel to wheel into Eau Rouge. Danny Watts doesn't want to flinch, nor does Heisman. Heisman's got the line. Watts is using the curbs. Whoa, Heisman has a big skate wide. They're both out on the runoff area, and I have to say, I really do approve of all these extra tarmac runoff areas around the fast corners at places like Spa, because they allow the racing to continue. They do allow the drivers to make a mistake or race through Eau Rouge like that, whereas in the olden days it would have resulted in a very big and quite dangerous accident. And all right, well, you may argue that perhaps they'd have more fear of the place if it was more dangerous, but it doesn't diminish the driver's respect for the challenge that is Eau Rouge any little at all. Lance David Arnold, we saw him in that contact earlier. Yellow and red flags out, denoting a slippery surface. Often that's if somebody's left oil or lubricant of some kind, water, on the surface. Now it's because it is precipitating. You see the wipers on. This is the battle for second we're looking at. Jeroen Bleekemolen and Sean Edwards. So Lance David Arnold didn't survive his brush with Christian Mamarau, and Mamarau only 19th on the grid. Was a title challenger at the midway point of the season, and his hopes have really faded. Sean Edwards looking to try and find a way past Jeroen Bleekemolen, skating through Piff Paff there. One of the many corners at Spa that is not flat, by which I mean not level. There's almost no parts of this Spa circuit that are actually level. They're either going up or downhill, one way or another. Race leader is continuing to pull away, Jaap van Lagen. His fortunes is just improving and improving all the way through the season. The later he races in the World Touring Car Championship, it's getting more and more competitive, and he is really coming on strong in this Porsche Supercup series as well. And he's in the middle of a tight battle for points as well, Jaap van Lagen, 7th in the standings at the moment. And René Rast got ahead of him, who was 1 point behind by getting 2 points for pole. But René Rast dropping down the order at the start. Pretty certainly was him that was spun off at the first time they got to Les Combes. And so that means that Jaap van Lagen, if he can continue out front, will not only stay ahead of René Rast, he will probably reel in Danny Watts as well, who's 9 points ahead of him. And next in front, well, Danny Watts 9, Patrick Heisman 11, and Jan Seyfarth, who's out of the race, 12 points in front of him. So Jaap van Lagen could leap up now into maybe 4th place in the championship if he can keep this race win alive here in Spa. Yellow flags are out on the approach to Eau Rouge. Here is the battle for second again, coming up the hill. Little bobble over the curves from Jeroen Bleekemolen. This is a chance for Sean Edwards. He had a much cleaner run through Spa, through Eau Rouge rather, here at Spa, and he's right behind the champion. He's going to the outside. That is the racing line. There'll be just as much grip on the slippery surface on the inside, but you get more room to manoeuvre on the outside. Sean Edwards sweeps around the nose of Jeroen Bleekemolen, and Bleekemolen went, okay, you've just eased in front, and I think he got onto the brakes just a little earlier than maybe he would do if he was in dry conditions. Little further back, what are we looking at here? That is the second of the silver and blue Irwin machines, Damien Faulkner. Jan Seyfarth hanging on to his place by running through the bus stop, going the wrong way through. or at least not using the track, using the runoff area. Now, he didn't gain a position, although he did gain an advantage from that, so my reading of it would be that he probably doesn't need to allow Damien Faulkner to go through. If he'd picked up a place, he would need to hand it back, but he could argue that it's getting wetter and it was just a mistake. Round 11 of the Porsche Supercup at Spa-Francorchamps, led by Jaap van Lagen, and the battle's behind, getting closer and closer. Looking there at Damien Faulkner is Sean Edwards in second place. This is replay up to the bus stop. He took the second place away from Jeroen Bleekemolen last lap, hangs on to that. On board with Jan Seyfarth. Down the inside into the bus stop. That is Damien Faulkner right in front of him. Seyfarth picking up a place. And there you see Sean Edwards in second. Third and fourth, Danny Watson, Damien Faulkner. Fifth place, and coming up the order quickly, is that Jörg Hart? Let's have a look. No, Norbert Siedler. Not saying it is. David Salens, seeing him dropping down the order a little. That is Jörg Hart, and he is right in front of Jan Seyfarth there. Well, they're a little further back. This is at the end of the last lap. I think Watson, Faulkner, yeah, there we go. Seyfarth's now behind Hart, then Stefano Rosina. Richard Williams coming inside Alessandro Zampedri. Zampedri, former champion, on the outside there. Williams trying to hold on down the line. Richard Williams returning again to the Super Cup in the Jetstream team. And another youngster there in 23rd place, Robert Cragen, 19-year-old driver from Ireland. And he's substituting for the Swede Joachim Mangs, who's been in the championship during the last few races. He's competing in the Carrera Cup Scandinavia, where he is on targets to win the championship title. And their final round will be the same date as the Monza finale of the Mobil 1 Porsche Super Cup. Jiri Janek there, so that's not Sean Edwards, that's a little further back. Jiri Janek then, ahead of the two SAS Lechner racing cars. And a very strong battle going on here. Damaged damaged left rear on the Veltins car of René Rast, I think we were seeing there from the rear, towards the back of this group. There he is, with the headlights ablaze. Not there. There, that is, I think, René Rast's car, chasing Alessandro Zampedri, trying to find a way by. Rast, after being, not sure if it was contact or a driver error, spat him off the circuit on the first lap, but he obviously, as you can see there, hit with the rear of the car rather than the front, which is why he's able to continue. Jaap van Lagen leading this race from Sean Edwards, but the gap first to second coming right down. And Damien Faulkner really not having a very good time here at Spa, in the middle of the pack, struggling where he really needs to be on pole and out front winning the race. This season has just not gone the way that he had hoped for. Damien Faulkner won the opening race in Bahrain and then didn't win again until Budapest. So a very long winless streak, not the championship race he hoped for. Battle for the lead, and this is exactly where Sean Edwards got second place. He takes the lead of the race from Jaap van Lagen around the outside at Les Combes. Wow, Sean Edwards, our Silverstone race winner. This is looking like a very good race weekend for him. Fifth place on the grid, his second best qualifying of the season, and now he's in the lead from Jaap van Lagen. Van Lagen looked to have this race in the bag after the first 4 laps, and now with 4 to go, Sean Edwards romps away. Well, we saw 2 laps ago when Edwards got by Jeroen Bleekemolen just how fast he left the new champion behind. And I wonder whether Edwards did take a pretty inspired gamble on tyres. Maybe he's got cuts in his slicks to make them an intermediate, to give him a little more grip. Van Lagen, as you see, I think is on a pure slick. It's very slippery in there. Well, the slide was Van Lagen, the car behind Sean Edwards. And Edwards, well, Van Lagen's mistake there, or lack of grip at least on the car through Eau Rouge, meant that he was powerless to defend all the way up that hill. Ain't no substitute for horsepower at Spa, or if you haven't got any extra horsepower, you've got to have the best run through Eau Rouge, or you are dead in the water up the hill. William Langhorne's exhaust seems to have come apart, possibly through abuse there. David Salens in third, that yellow and blue Irwin machine on board with Jan Seifert. Look at this. This isn't just an onboard cam, this is helmet cam, so your head bobbling around with the drivers. This is at his eye level, so this is in the visor area, the little gap in the helmet, and it's tucked just alongside the driver's head, so you can see where he's looking, not necessarily straight ahead. Now, I think actually his eyes might be a little higher than this, because obviously you can't see very much. Oh, little snick down, and that shows you how wet it is getting there. Snick down through Blanchimont up towards the bus stop. They're coming up behind this lead group. Sean Edwards leading, Jaap van Lagen in second. Third, some distance back, Jeroen Blekemolen. Slippery surface flags out everywhere. Fourth, David Salens under pressure, looking for the inside. There goes Norbert Siedler, and we're looking back. That is Jan Seifert. Now, I can't think, okay, Jörg Hart, that's who we're with. Whoa, that's Stefano Rosina on the outside there. Oh, and a mistake by Jörg Hart, so he'll lose a place. Ooh, lift. With David Salens now, out of Eau Rouge. Siedler's closer. Watch him close, close, close. Don't forget, both cars with the same horsepower, but Siedler just closing up in the toe. Now he pulls out. Going around the outside, that's him on the right-hand side of your picture. This is for fourth. Siedler with the outside line, can he exploit it? No, Salens is just a little bit too canny, knows how to get inside and hold your line. Siedler did not quite have the advantage there under braking that Sean Edwards has shown on the last couple of attempts he's made to pick up places there, where he has gone through. Who's this having a oh, I was going to say having a bobble at Eau Rouge. Oh, that's not a bobble at all. That's a bit of an off for Tim Buys. Well, the second of the Blekemolen Race Planet cars, supported by Porsche Center Eindhoven. Oh, and here comes Danny Watts with Damien Faulkner right behind him. Those two SAS cars, not Irwin cars, they are the lead team in the Teams Championship. Let's see if they can complete this passing manoeuvre, if Faulkner can complete the passing manoeuvre without any problems for his teammate. The SAS Lechner cars, Damien Faulkner behind Danny Watts. All sorts of battles down the order. You often see the Supercup field stringing out a little bit, especially on a high-speed circuit like this, where just slight nuances can often make quite a difference between the drivers, but in these wet conditions, the grip level is so much lower that, in fact, it's keeping the field very close together. You see Mark Bentz there battling with Marco Holzer. There's Bentz, the second of those two cars, and they are ahead of the number one machine of Alessandro Zampedri. And all this bunch down in the teens, or tens and into teens. Yuri Yannick just outside the top half dozen. Is that not Yannick then? No, in that case, no, that's Patrick Heisman. No, that's not Patrick Heisman, that is Yannick. The graphic showing that he is down in 17th or 18th position. Maybe there's another Yannick somewhere on the graphics that seem to have got themselves a little confused. Here they come up the hill. Faulkner trying to find a move on Watts. He caught him very quickly out of Eau Rouge. He's had to pull out very early. And the danger there is that Watts will get a tow. And yes, Faulkner is dropping back. Watts on the left-hand side, those two silver and blue cars. He picked up a little bit of a tow from Yuri Yannick. Oh, and they collide. Oh, and that's just the worst possible eventuality. Not only did they hit each other, René Rast got through. Jan Seifert gets in front of Damien Faulkner as well. And there's problems as well for Danny Watts. He's not only had damage on that right rear tyre, but it looks as though it slowed him down, and there may be a broken drive shaft or something there, and I'm not sure Damien Faulkner's car escaped entirely undamaged either. He's got three cars now all over him. Make that two, because one has just gone by, Zampedri's gone by, Faulkner's in trouble. Both of the teammates are damaged, And those two SAS Lechner team cars are in real trouble. And in the Teams Championship, as Faulkner skates out wide, Teams Championship, they are leading by 29 points, but if neither of them score here, suddenly the Jetstream team are looking a lot better with one race weekend to go, as well as are the Kadach team, or they would be if they hadn't had a problem at the start. But Watts and Faulkner getting together, and in these slippery conditions, well, perhaps that was the least deliberate contact between teammates you'll see in a fair while, because in these conditions, very hard to stay apart. René Rast, second of these two cars. He's our pole sitter, don't forget, the 21-year-old, fastest in the mixed qualifying session. Oh, and a challenge for third. David Salens, inside your own Bleekemolen. Bleekemolen just skates through the chicane, keeps himself out of trouble. There's our race leader, turquoise and white, Sean Edwards, ahead of Jaap van Lagen and Sebastian Bleekemolen in third place, Jeroen Bleekemolen rather, in third. Yuri Yannick with René Rast behind, leading this midfield battle here at Spa. Last lap of the race and all sorts of trouble. Danny Watts and Damien Faulkner. Danny Watts' car jammed there. Damien Faulkner, I think, may well not finish this race either. A real disaster for those two this weekend. Danny Watts qualified 6th, Damien Faulkner 11th, and as Watts went backwards and Faulkner crept slowly forwards, they managed to collide at Les Combes, 2 laps from home, and a real disaster for the team that leads the Teams Championship with one race weekend remaining. All sorts of battles here. René Rast just holding on there in front of Yuri Yannick, outside the top half dozen. Ooh, and that's a good battle under braking. 29 is Marco Holzer, number 1. That's a former champion. Alessandro Sampedri couldn't quite make it through. And again, with David Salens, you saw Jeroen Bleekemolen there. Oh, and Salens, he's had contact with Bleekemolen. He's punctured his radiators. That's why he's skating around. Water pouring out of the front of that car. Doesn't look like it's damaged, but either he's found a much wetter part of the... No, it's his radiators, definitely. It is raining heavier, but Salens, he's just going to make it to the end of the race, but only just. If there was another lap, he would be in desperate trouble, and he may well detonate his engine doing it. Norbert Siedler goes through, so too does Patrick Heisman. But out front, Sean Edwards, the youngster from Great Britain, leading as he did at Silverstone, heading towards his second Porsche Supercup victory of the season. Jaap van Lagen, who led for, half the race comfortably in second place, can't hold on to him. Jeroen Bleekemolen, who is our newly crowned Supercup champion, in third place. And some of the great battles that are raged throughout the race coming very disappointingly unstuck on the last lap at Spa-Francorchamps. So Sean Edwards, what a commanding performance he's put in here at Spa. Looked very quick in qualifying, 5th place, and now has raced through to the front and taken a well-deserved and very commanding performance win here at Spa. 2nd place for Jaap van Lagen, that'll help him no end in the Drivers' Championship. Jeroen Bleekemolen in 3rd. 6th place there for the waterless Duncan Heisman. Pole sitter René Rast 7th, ahead of Yuri Yannick. Then Stefano Rosina, Jan Seifert, and just about the rest of them all romping across the line in one great big tangled mass of battling Porsches. So behind William Langhorne, Sebastian Bleekemolen, there are our top 3. In the middle of the picture, Sean Edwards climbs out of the car. Jaap van Lagen, well done, buddy. And there you see 3rd place, Jeroen Bleekemolen, our newly crowned champion. There'll be 3 very happy young men. Welcome back live to Spa. On the right, Jaap van Lagen in 2nd. There is the new champion, Jeroen Bleekemolen. Behind him, the tall figure of Sean Edwards, our race winner. Bleekemolen in 3rd place here. The RTL guys trying to grab a quick word with him in the 11th race of the Mobil 1 Porsche Supercup. So 2nd win of the season for Sean Edwards. On top at Silverstone, his home race. On top at Spa-Francorchamps, one of the most challenging racetracks in the world. I tell you what, if you'd said to him, you're only going to win 2 races this year, what 2 would you like to win? I would think Silverstone would have been his #1 choice, and among the others, Spa, Monza maybe. Yeah, definitely. Jaap van Lagen, second place. Really strong race for him, and third place for our champion. Let's have a look down towards the bottom. What happened to some of our pre-race favourites? Well, you saw René Rast, the pole sitter, did finish inside the top 10 in the end. And looking further down, no sign at all of the two SAS Lechner cars. And we may well have to go on to the third page. Yes, Damien Faulkner, Danny Watts failed to finish the race. They weren't the only ones. Martin Rangier, Lance David Arnold, Chris Mamarau, all accidents earlier. Didn't see what happened to Andrea Boldrini. Tim Boyce went off as well, didn't he, exiting Eau Rouge. But Faulkner and Watts, what a disaster. So Sean Edwards, second win of the season. What a place to do it. Mixed conditions at Spa. There you know you've had to drive for your championship, for your win rather. And Jeroen Bleekemolen there in the middle, he's the champion. The two Dutch drivers here in Jaap van Lagen comparing notes. Van Lagen combining his Porsche Supercup racing with racing in the World Touring Car Championship for Lada. And looks like that programme is going to grow next year as well. And of course you see Van Lagen live on Eurosport from Imola next time out. So lots of Grand Prix circuit support racing for him. So Bob Costingeris invites them onto the podium. Sean Edwards on the top step. Great race job by him. So national anthem rings out for the winning race driver.
Congratulations.
British driver Sean Edwards on top of the pile. Two Dutchmen, Jaap van Lagen and Jeroen Bleekemolen, second and third. So for Frans Konrad's resurgent team in this Super Cup, Sean Edwards doing a superb job. And Konrad Motorsport team really back on top form here. Jaap van Lagen takes second for the Cadets Racing team. Another trophy well deserved by him, and he must have felt halfway through that he had the race in the bag, but Sean Edwards just had unbeatable pace. Third place then, our new champion Jeroen Bleekemolen ties it up after qualifying at Spa, puts the title out of the reach of Damien Faulkner. One race remains, that is at Monza in 3 weeks' time, supporting the Italian Grand Prix, the Porsche Super Cup finale, and then everybody will be out for victory. There's our top three then. Sean Edwards, the winner here in mixed conditions. It could have been an awful lot wetter at Spa. Mind you, I'm sure they were pretty much convinced it was wet enough as it was. So congratulations to Sean and the Konrad team. And France will be beaming with joy. Very few happier people in a race paddock than Frans Konrad, and really delighted to see the team doing so well this season. And for Sean Edwards, who is making his career outside the British Isles, a great chance to put his name back on the map at Silverstone. And there is Frans Konrad. Well, he wasn't beaming with joy downstairs at all. Yes, I've got a coat on. I'm going to stay dry. Mind you, they're all in clothes. They're going to change, France. So I'm not quite sure who is the winner or the loser there. That's it then. Till the next time out at Monza. From Spa-Francorchamps, with our champion Jeroen Bleekemolen on the podium, and with Sean Edwards winning. Till the next time out at Monza, from me, Martin Haven, it's bye for now. Bye-bye.